Good evening, good afternoon, and hello in general. Today we're going to be looking at the Sonic Chaos game on the, this particular version is on the Sonic Origins collection, which is it's on pretty much everything, PS5, Series X, Switch, I'd imagine PC as well. But this collection, or this particular game, is on numerous collections. You can find this on the Sonic Mega Collection, on the Nintendo GameCube, PlayStation 2, original Xbox. Yeah, I'm pretty sure about that. There's a Master System game and also a Game Gear game. Ironically, this is the Game Gear version. The Sega, for some bizarre reason, always put the Game Gear collections of these games on these collections. I don't know why, because the Master System versions are superior in just about every way in terms of maybe not frame rate, although I can't be sure about that, but I know that there is very little screen crunch on the Master System versions of Sonic 1 and Sonic 2 in comparison to the Game Gear versions, but the Game Gear versions were a lot more popular in the US, whereas in Europe the Master System was a very and Brazil especially, if not more popular in Brazil, was a very special and a very popular system that people used to play. Hell, it's still selling to this day, I believe, in like emulation form to some degree. So I've never played this before. This is like Sonic. Was it Sonic 3D Blast? Was the other one I looked at? This particular game is very much in the same vein as Sonic 1, and Sonic 2 on the Master System, and if you're in the US, Game Gear especially. More so, I'd say, inclined with Sonic 2 than Sonic 1, just because, although there is some similarities, because there are a lot of... I mean, Sonic on these 8-bit systems isn't a bad game, far from it. I think Sonic 1 is a fantastic... it's like an original Sonic game. It's a Sonic 1, but it's a completely different game to the Mega Drive Genesis version. And the same with Sonic 2 as well. Totally different to the Mega Drive Genesis version. But Sonic 2 introduced a lot of things that were not necessarily good. Like Sonic 1, for instance, as I've done a video on that, it's a pretty decent game. It's reasonably challenging. It's not difficult, so it's, you know, and there are like death pits in Sonic in the Genesis Mega Drive games. In Sonic 2 with Metropolis Zone is one that comes to mind, and there's a few other zones as well. But the Sonic 2 on the Master System started. Oh yeah, and Mystic Cave. In fact, there's a hole you can fall down that's got spikes in it, and there's no way of getting back up again, even if you like have unlocked all the emeralds in like Super Sonic. So it's kind of weird. So the first time really properly playing this, and it's on different collections. You can actually. Oh no, I'm wrong. It's also on the Sega Mega Drive Ultimate or Sega Genesis Ultimate, on the 360 and the Xbox, 360 and the PS3. It's just come to mind. Sonic is very, as I said, like on the Master System, he is very slippery on this, and that's one of the detriments of this game. I would definitely say it makes boss fights more difficult than they should be, because Sonic slides and slips everywhere. It's like he's got Vaseline on his shoes. It was quite irritating with the. Particularly with the final boss, and I didn't get a good playthrough of this. I didn't unlock all the emeralds. I had no idea how you even do that, to be honest. So I got a bad ending, but I just wanted to experience the game for myself. It's not bad. I mean, graphically, it's pretty decent. It's got the character models are very much from what I can see, very much in vein of Sonic 2 on the Mega Drive Genesis. It's got that kind of. The Sonic model looks very similar to that in some regards. The levels on this are... Nothing really stood out to me, personally. With Sonic... with all the Sonic games, the Mega Drive / Genesis ones, they all have one or two particular levels that stand out. Like Sonic 1, levels that always stand out to me is going to be Labyrinth Zone, because it's such a twat, because Sonic moves so slow, and for good and bad. And the other one would be Starlight Zone. It's I could fall asleep to that music. It's so relaxing in general. Sonic 2 would be probably Casino Night Zone is one that comes to mind straight away. Metropolis Zone again, same issue. Water levels can be an absolute pain in the ass in Sonic games to deal with. Aqua, is it Aqua Zone? The third stage in Sonic 2. This isn't hard, but and then Sonic 3, it's going to have to be well, Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles, depending on if you combine the two games or you don't. It would probably be Hydro City is one. Sander, for good and bad. Sander, is it Tropolis? I think that's the Sonic and Knuckles level where you have to keep the lights on, otherwise the ghosts can get you. That was the one that really comes to mind. And there's quite a lot, to be honest. So as I'm basically saying, there's levels that stand out. Nothing on this really stands out from my playthrough of it. Music's not bad. It's nothing really super memorable, but again, it's an 8-bit system, so it's not going to necessarily have the same type of vibe, I guess you could say. Obviously, it hasn't got necessarily got the power as such, I suppose, compared to a Mega Drive. But they're not bad. The soundtracks are okay for what they are, and I don't recall in Sonic 2 on my system. I don't recall there being that many memorable soundtracks. Because when I played through it, in fact, I did a comparison of Sonic 1 and Sonic 1 on was it GameGear? Was it GameGear versus Master System? Oh no, it was 50 Hz versus 60 Hz. Sorry, and there was a few tracks like the Jungle Zone had some good sort of soundtrack on it, and that wasn't that bad. I don't recall much on Sonic 2 because Sonic 2 is so much harder than Sonic 1. I had Sonic 2 as a child, and it was to this day I've never cleared it because it's so hard. And a lot of that is just, as I said before, like down to really like unfair, to some degree, skill, but also quite unfair game design in certain areas. Death pits and stuff like that. It's just I find that to be rather irritating at times. So playing through this, there's 6 acts in this game. 2 acts, and then you get a boss like you did with most traditional Sonic games. The last boss gave me some problems until I sort of YouTubed it, and you can just literally just stay in one place and just keep bouncing on his head, and that's kind of how I did it, to be honest. So this isn't it's not a particularly difficult game, barring some rather cheap mechanics in some of the bosses. You can play there's a fan remake of this game. It looks like this game, but with like Sonic 2 graphics and aesthetics. Essentially, it looks really, really good. I have really no complaints. As I said, the only issue I had with this game was I just kept dying in some of the later stages because of the death pits. That they were just it was such a cheap way. Like Sonic 2, there's a level where I think it's Green Hills in the second game. When you travel to the boss, you've got no rings, and you literally have to jump on the platforms. But the thing is, as you jump, you can't see the next platform you've got to land on. So it was an absolute pure luck, and basically a miracle if you'd actually land on the platform and not fall off it and kill yourself. So it was very, very aggravating. I got through this because it's nowhere. Wouldn't call it nowhere near as hard as Sonic 2 on Master System and Game Gear. That bit though did do my nutting later on. There's a point where you run on these like rotating like rotating run things, and if you don't run at speed, you just fall off it. It has sort of implemented some of the ideas from Sonic CD, which is it's not a bad idea. You can do the peel off run, where you can not just do a spin dash, you can actually run with your feet, run with your speed yourself up with your feet and stuff. I found it kind of irrelevant in this type of game because. I mean, a lot of people say Sonic is speed. I kind of disagree with that, just in that Sonic's a platforming game. Speed's an aspect of it, but if you're doing speed on something, you're going to die. That thing there, if you don't run on that with speed, you can fall off it and die. And that's exactly what I kept getting killed, because there was these death pits below them that would just drop, and I would just fall off it and die. So it got quite aggravating at times, but the time I spent with this, I think that this took me about... maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours tops to actually beat it. I don't know if I'll go back and do the emeralds on it again. It's not. It's just an interesting idea. One of those types of games. There's a few of them. There's like Sonic. Is it 3D Blast? Was the other one. And there was a direct sequel to this particular game as well. And it is. So it's largely based on Sonic 2 from the Master System. So this is the first game, and Master System and GameGear to defeat. Oh, it's Tails as well as a separate character in the game, so you can play as Tails and he can fly in this, which I think is the only one other than the. There's a direct sequel called Sonic Triple Trouble, which was released in 1994, and he can fly, so that makes the game a little bit easier. But this was this a PAL exclusive on Master System, I believe. Frame rate on this is very slow though. The frame rate is not good at all. It is very, very slow. I mean, this was... So the release date for this particular game was November 19th, 1993. And then worldwide and PAL would have been November 23rd, 1993. So it's not a bad game at all. It's also how can I put it? It's kind of underrated in that you don't hear a lot about these Master System Game Gear games, because they're very, very sort of underrated, I guess you could say, because they weren't that popular, particularly in the US because of what it was actually on. But I don't think this is a bad game in the slightest. I just think it's one of those games that sort of deserves... maybe it deserves like a remake. Like, there is a fan-made remake of this on... which is fan-made with the Mega Drive, as I've said. And it's pretty decent. You know, I've... Just trying to think of all the different things with this game. There's not that many Robotniks type things, and it's very limited, the enemies in it. But to be honest, you don't really need it, because a lot of the time you're contending with the level design, which is quite odd at times. It's kind of a jack of all trades, this game. There's a lot of and there's a lot of areas that you can just access in this, which you wouldn't realize you'd be able to access. It kind of reminds me of Sonic CD in that aspect, because that game's kind of that's kind of the same sort of vibe to it, as in, like, it's just everything's open. You can go just about anywhere within reason, anywhere you want, because there's so many different zones and routes you can take. It does have that thing with when you lose all your rings, only one ring reappears, which can be quite irritating. But as long as you hold on to that one ring, it isn't such an issue, I guess. But I wouldn't say this is a bad game. This isn't a cheap game either. It's not expensive. It's about, you're talking, I don't know, £29 or something, £28, £29 on eBay for it, because I was looking earlier on, because I was quite curious about it. 23 without a manual. And then you're talking like, yeah, 28 with a manual. unless you don't want it with a manual. But I would personally, I always try and get a manual. And as I said, Master System games do have quite bland box art, depending on the game. Some are better than others. I may even look at the other game as well, which is the one called Triple Trouble, which is also a direct sequel to this, and I think that might also be on the collection. Sonic Origins collection is probably the easiest way to play this. This is an interesting type of like special stage type thing, but I don't know how you get the emeralds on this game. I haven't got a clue how. There doesn't seem to be any special stages to it other than like that. Oh, that is the special stage. So unless you've got to keep going along along the side, as in keep scrolling to the side. I was just collecting rings, because the more rings you get, the more lives, because I desperately needed lives, even though you can save the game at any point on the Origins collection. Just bang in a save and then you can just reload it from wherever you want, which does make life easy. But I've not... There's some on the Master System that are pretty, and games that aren't that great, to be honest, Sonic game-wise. As I said, the only criticisms I would really say of this game from my time with it was just the fact that Sonic he's so slippery. When he jumps and he lands on the floor, a lot of the time you'll tend to find him he'll then roll when you don't want him to roll, which then gets you killed, which is really, really irritating. But as you can see, I am trying to hold that ring while fighting the boss. It became a bit of a challenge later on with the harder bosses and stuff. I mean, Sonic 2's got harder bosses. The one that comes to mind to me is, and again, it was the same issue. It was the slipperiness of Sonic and the way he slips and slides and stuff. There's one, I think it might be, was it Green Hills? It might be Green Hills, or one of them, where you had to fight this this giant bird with like his neck comes out the clouds and he throws like little enemy birdie type things at you, and you have to roll and destroy the eggs before they hatch, or as they hatch, and you have to just keep hit. Then you have to fight the chicken thing or bird type thing and hit him on his head. But he also shoots little fireballs at you, and obviously you've got no rings either. With a lot of these Sonic games, you don't get rings and stuff. Even like Sonic 2, when I did a stream of that the other week, same sort of thing. But it's good fun. I've got to incorporate like some of the different levels in the game. I'll probably do like one level for one act to sort of show you a bit of the level and the boss fights and stuff. It's well worth playing. As you can see, the hindrance, as I've said about, other than the slipperiness of Sonic in this, the frame rate can be janky. So, as you can see, I'm trying, well, depending on what footage you're watching, I'm trying to line myself up with the rings, but the frame rate can be very inconsistent sometimes. I don't know what the frame rate is. I'd imagine it's going to be lower than 60 frames a second on these old systems. But you just kind of deal with in the grand scheme of things. It's not like, today's sort of stuff is very, very different. Well, even saying that, you've still got some PS5 games and Series X games that run at 30 frames. I did find that with Resident Evil 4 Remake, which I've played on PC, and it's a fantastic game. The remake, it might actually even be better than the original, the 2005 game. I have just put out a video about Resident Evil 2, just a little comparisons video of Resident Evil 2 on a couple of different platforms, and on the remake as well from 2019. So yeah, so I've done. But I thought I've been meaning to go back to Sonic 1 after I did my 50Hz versus 60Hz on Sonic 1. I just kind of wasn't in the mood for Sonic. I was just go through weird patches with that sort of stuff. But I'm also now playing through RE4 Remake on PS5 now, but I'm doing a hardcore playthrough, and it's so much more difficult. When I've done the hardcore playthrough on Steam, after doing a normal difficulty playthrough. Obviously, I'd unlocked lots and lots of weapons, but I haven't unlocked lots and lots of weapons on the PS5 version. So that's proven to be a really substantial challenge, to be honest. I'm not one for like platinum trophies of that, but I'd like to try and get a couple. It'd be kind of cool to get my hands on some. But I thought this would be an interesting, different little video. I'm going to do a little video on the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time remake rumours as well, because I thought that'd be kind of interesting. I mean, there's a lot of rumours going around that it's Zelda's 40th this year. You know, Ocarina of Time is kind of sacred ground, so I guess we'll see whether Nintendo has the courage to touch that. I think they'll do it, but I guess we'll see. And that also means a purchase of a Switch 2, which is gonna hurt, but I mean, I'm an idiot. I'll do it most probably. But anyway, back to Sonic. This, as I've said, this could be good grounds. I mean, to do like a Sonic Mania type version of this game, or do a complete ground up remake of this. Sega doesn't seem too interested these days in Sonic 2D at all. The last decent Sonic game they did was probably Mania. I don't particularly like Sonic in 3D. I just don't. For me, it doesn't work. It just doesn't feel right to me. That's just my own biased opinion, I guess. I just prefer Sonic in 2D. The last sort of 3D game I played that paid any interest to was, although I'll give it its due, colours wasn't too bad for what it was. But for me, it was Sonic Generations on the 360, and that's also been. I mean, we are talking about a lot of remakes and re-editions. That's just been redone on current gen systems. So, and that's the Sonic Generations. Is it the Shadow version? And yeah, it looks pretty good. But again, I'm not really a Shadows sort of fan. I'm just a different generation, I guess you could say. I'm an old fart, basically. So yeah, I've had quite a bit of fun playing this. I wonder if it had been on a more popular system, whether or not it would have been as popular as the original Sonic games on the Mega Drive, because I mean, to this day they still stand up quite well in comparison to, you know, your other popular platforms of the time and stuff. It's a shame about Sega now. They're not. Sonic isn't. He's still got his fans, but I don't feel like he's as popular as he once was. He's certainly not got the, I guess you can't say the cool factor as much as he used to have. But again, different generations, different times, I guess. But I've had a lot of fun playing this. It's well worth playing and trying out for yourself. And most of the Sonic games have been re-released so many times, it's just ridiculous. There's the odd one that hasn't been released, like for some reason there's never been a re-release of Knuckles Chaotix, which was a exclusive game on the 32X, which was it's like the second add-on after the Mega CD for the Mega Drive. That for some reason has never been re-released. I've also been sort of kind of speculated it's not a very good game, but I think it should be up to the person to decide that for themselves. Put it on a collection, and there's another one that was an arcade one that brought in the character from Sonic Mania. It was an arcade exclusive, and that's never seen a port either. So there's been a few like that we've never seen on home console, and there's no real excuse unless there's some sort of issue with the rights, maybe. But yeah, I've had a lot of fun with this. I would most definitely recommend, if you're a Sonic fan, you like platform games, and you're willing to give something that's a bit older a chance, because it's really not bad at all. There's some really good ideas in this game. Just kind of some roughness with the frame rate and the system it's on, because the Master System has some pretty epic games on it. Game Gear as well, but more so Master System. Obviously the other ones, the ones I can list that I had as a child, barring, and I only have read Sonic 2, obviously Sonic 1 I didn't own. Played it, but didn't own it. Action Fighter, which is a very, very challenging game. I never did ever clear that. Golden Axe it's not a bad port. It's not amazing. Again, it has sort of frame rate dips and issues, but it's pretty decent in general. What else was there? There was GP Rider, which was a very generic motorcycle racing game. Obviously Alex the Kid in Miracle World, and there's numerous versions of other Alex the Kid games as well. Obviously Wonder Boy, particularly a lot of the Wonder Boy games, but Wonder Boy 3 The Dragon's Trap, that's the one I played quite a lot, and I was terrible on it because I didn't really understand the whole concept of a Metroidvania at the time. Since then, I've sort of educated myself a little on, played more of it, and it's tremendously good. Particularly the remaster remake they did a few years back. I've got that on Steam. Again, I've never quite finished it. I think I'm near the end, but I've never finished it. Like me with a lot of games. Lucky Dime Chapter starring Donald Duck. That is absolutely tremendous. Again, another one I've never finished. I owned that. And there's some janky ass games as well, obviously, like Vigilante I had on Master System. Interesting. I wouldn't call it a good game, but it's not a bad game either. It's just odd. The Ninja, I never owned that, but I played that. That wasn't bad. There's a lot of experiences on the Master System that you just don't really find anywhere else. Just trying to think what else was I had on there and stuff. But there's a lot. Master System has a very, very big library of games on it. There's others I'm sure I had. Shadow of the Beast. I hated that. I absolutely hated that game. Afterburner. That was fantastic. One that people love that I can't stand is Space Harrier. I hated that game with a passion. I just hated it. I just didn't like anything about that game. I remember getting that at, I think it was Toys R Us, I think. Unfortunately, in many other videos, unfortunately I sold all my Mega Drive and my System games, so I've slowly been going back through and buying the odd game here and there. So it's a good system to collect for. Most of the games, barring a few, are really, really cheap. They're not that expensive. It's a good system to collect for. But the artwork's a bit bland on the game cases and stuff. But you get a Mega Drive Master System converter, and you can play all the Master System games through the converter on a Mega Drive. So there's always that. But no, this is really, really good. I've enjoyed myself with it. Enjoyed the time with this game. And it's pretty dirt cheap. It's not a particularly expensive game. It's starting to get more pricing now, the older it gets. But that's like a lot of stuff, I suppose, nowadays and stuff. But I think I'll leave it there. I will show some other footage of the game. I'll probably, as I said, try and do like one level, and then maybe show the boss fights, and I'll go from there. I think, yeah. Anyway, I won't bore you any longer. I hope this has been informative, enjoyable to some degree. I'm trying to figure out with YouTube what the best type of videos, because some of my last videos have done terrible, and then other videos do quite well for my channel, and I'm trying to kind of figure out why that is. It's hard sometimes to do commentary on these games and sound like you're interested. You are, but you know, that's why I tend to put footage in the background a lot of times, just so people can just see the game for themselves, experience it, and then give their opinions of what they think, whether they like something or not. But anyway, yeah, I'll probably leave it there. It is a Sunday night and I've got work in the morning, so good night. Enjoy your gaming during the week, and I don't know, maybe give me some comments. Let me know what you'd like to see in terms of game content, particularly on the Sonic side of things. As I said, I'm going to do a little video on the Zelda remake rumors, and again, these are rumors. And we shall see whether that comes to any fruition. It would be cool in some ways if it does. Sacred ground though, that is Nintendo, sacred ground. Don't mess it up, for Christ's sake. Anyway, I'll leave it there, and thank you for listening to me ramble on as always, and peace.